Welcome to part 2 of my Happy Healthy Back series. If you missed the first video, I highly encourage you to go back and start there. These videos are designed to be a progression for you. They are brought to you to help relieve any low back pain symptoms that you might be feeling right now, and also to progress into more strength and stability exercises that will help your back be resilient and avoid pain in the future. Of course, I'm not a doctor, I'm a personal trainer. So I'm bringing you some of my best practices that I do with my clients and myself. But if you are managing a medical issue or are dealing with pain, I highly encourage you to get that professionally checked out by a doctor so that you can move forward with your workouts with confidence and knowing what's going on. Of course, listen to your body throughout this movement practice. If anything doesn't feel right to you, know that these exercises are all just suggestions. You're in charge of your body and your workout. So do what feels right for you. It might be different on any given day. So with that being said, let's get started. Today's routine, we'll be using a foam roller. You can use any type of foam roller. This is just an easy one for me to have around. It's nice and small. And then a mini band. This is a looped band that we'll use for some resistance exercises. If you don't have these items right now, go ahead. You can continue with the workout without these. It's not essential, but you'll get a little bit more benefit by having them. So if you need to hit pause, go grab those now, come on back, and then we'll just meet up on our backs. So we'll get to those in just a second. Join me in a comfortable position on the floor. And if you caught video 1, you know that I've got a little routine that I call low back love, and we're gonna start with some of the best bits of that first. So we're gonna begin by just doing a little breath and body scan. I wanna welcome you to just tune in. Whether or not you're dealing with pain today, maybe you woke up in pain, maybe not, but it's always important to just give yourself a moment to bring your awareness in, notice what sensations you have in your body, notice where you're holding tension, and just allow a little bit more ease. And I'm just going to invite you to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and do a few big breaths. And just remember that this is a no judgment zone, that if you are feeling pain in your body today or any day, you can reframe that pain into an invitation to take care of yourself, to spend time loving your body, and to give it what it needs. So just see if we can let our jaw relax, let our shoulders melt into the floor. Make sure your hips feel nice and even on the floor and that your knees and toes are all in line. And we're going to begin with our lumbar presses. So if you did the last video, you know what this is. We're going to inhale and lift your low back off the floor, and then exhale and gently press your low back down. It's just like a pelvic tilt kind of movement, but we're just mobilizing that low spine, inhaling and exhaling as we do, allowing that breath to just cleanse our body, cleanse our spirit. What's really nice too, as you start to practice these things and they become so familiar, is that you really can let this become more of a moving meditation. You can allow this to be a moment of just calm, reflection, letting that breath just kind of relieve any stress or tension that you're feeling. So I like to do 10 or 15 of these, just nice and easy. And then we'll go right into our hip twist. So seeing if you can keep that breathing nice and steady. We'll let the knees drop one side on our inhale. Exhale through the center and let your knees drop to the other side. Inhale and exhale. See if you can allow a smile to cross your face. Just letting your body and your brain know that you're safe, that you don't need to clench up and fight against pain, that this is all here to help you feel good. Okay, and now we're gonna reach for our foam roller. So leaving that band for later, we're gonna just push into our feet, bridging up, and I want you to tuck the foam roller under your pelvis. So it's not in your low back, it's just right like below your bony landmarks of your pelvis there. And we're just gonna stay here for a couple more breaths, just noticing again, like, okay, wow, now we're just inverted. So maybe this is taking a little tension off your low back. And again, reminder, if anything doesn't feel good for you, please don't do it. But just feel free to take a couple of cleansing breaths here, and then we're gonna bring the knees up. And I like to do this little rocking movement. So kind of pulling the knees in towards the chest and then pressing them away, and just see how that feels on your low spine. It feels like a really nice massage for me. So hopefully it feels that way for you too. And on this next one, we're gonna keep one knee close and stretch the other leg long. In our last video together, we did this on the floor without the roller, so this absolutely works without the roller. But this just really enhances that hip flexor stretch. So take a moment here. I like to also pull my shin sort of side to side, sort of allowing a little bit more space in the hip. So listen to your body, do what it needs. And then let's bring our knees together again and switch to the other side. And sometimes that roller will kind of like wiggle and get away from you. You can always stop and kind of reset it. So finding that little side to side stretch, just really getting into the hips. I mentioned this last time, but you know, often when we feel pain in one area of the body, let's just say the low back, it's important to address the areas above and below that. So we're going to be doing a lot of that today. So let's also go into our figure 4 hip stretch. And then again, on the roller, I like to go side to side, just kind of rocking and massaging out my low back. So yeah, just looking for all the tight and sticky spaces that are above and below. So where we want mobility, we want to restore that. So hips are meant to be really nice and mobile. And if we're missing that mobility and not moving well in our hips, which often happens from sitting a lot or whatever, then it's going to start to require like extra movement from other parts of the body that maybe aren't designed to work that way. So rocking side to side, just enjoying this a little bit more. And then let's just make some little circles again. My roller's slipping away from me, which is perfect timing because we're going to transition up. So if you don't have a roller with you, you can continue to do some hip stretches for your glutes. But if you have the roller, join me now. We're going to come up and sort of sit on the roller. It's like a side sit. So I'm on one cheek, and we're just going to start to kind of roll the length of that one cheek up and down. So going a little deeper into that muscle. And if you want to go really deep, we can cross the ankle on the bottom leg. So the glute that's on the roller, we want to bring that leg up. And then again, roll up and down. Oh my, that's really nice and deep. It might feel uncomfortable, depending on if you've been foam rolling a lot lately or just how your muscles are feeling today. This might feel more or less intense. So let's switch to the other side and then just take notice of how intense that felt for you, and try your best to keep your breathing nice and steady. So remembering how we started this session when we were on our back, practicing some nice even breathing. You want to try your best to keep that going now. If we're clenching up and fighting against the roller, it can't really do its job. So just do your best. And sometimes you just have to pause in one spot. If this feels really intense, just kind of find a place where you can pause and just breathe. So if the rolling up and down is just too much today, be patient with yourself. Just try to recover your breath. Remind yourself that you're safe. And go where you can with this, okay? And again, it depends on the day. Some days the roller feels easy breezy for me, and some days it just feels like a torture device. So, know that that's normal. Okay, so now we're gonna work on, again, we're kind of looking for all the sticky spots that are adjacent to our low back. So we're gonna go onto our side, and I'm tucking this right into the hourglass portion of my waist, so I'm right below my ribs. We shouldn't be on our ribs, and if your roller is like really hard, this may or may not be a good thing with your roller, so you need a little bit of give to it. But you could do this exercise without a roller. We're just gonna go ahead and open up our chest. I've got my hand just right behind my ear, and we're just doing this nice twist. So this gives our obliques a nice massage. It can be shocking how tight we can get through our obliques and our abs. So giving them a little bit of a release is so nice. And then don't worry, we're gonna go to the other side in a second, but before we move on, one more thing. We're gonna, again, pick up the bottom foot and cross it. I know this is pretzel time. And then we're gonna take our top hand down, and we're just gonna kind of rock and roll on those obliques. It's a pretty tiny movement. And then we might also, I've now set my hips back down, we might also kind of like press in and out on our inner thigh. So this is kind of, pretzel is really the appropriate word here, I get it. But we're just exploring, like, where can we find some release? And even now, before we transition to the other side, just notice how different you might feel from one side to the other. So let's make a match now. So we'll go back to our waistline, finding this position and just opening and closing the chest. Oh, this one feels so good. My right side is always tighter than my left. I'm right-handed, driving with my right foot forward. I don't know. There's so many reasons why we might be tighter on one side. Most of us have like one leg that's just, a hair longer than the other one. So who knows? All these little things accumulate to create these imbalances sometimes. So feel free to spend a little more time if you need extra love in any of these exercises or movements. That's the beauty of video. You can just hit pause and you can spend more time. So now I'm kind of in that little roll, little teeny tiny roll in that midsection. And then putting my hips back down, I'm applying just a little gentle pressure there and then kind of hugging it in and pressing away. And it's like this little twist. So finding, again, just what feels helpful for you right now. Okay, so let's set the roller to the side. We'll get back to that in just a second. Let's find hands and knees. Okay, so stacking the shoulders right over the hands, extend one leg long. We're gonna practice, again, our even breathing. I want you to notice if you can expand your ribs on all sides and then to cross your leg over, and we're gonna do this little twisty stretch. So breathing all the way into your belly, and then as you twist, exhaling all the way out. Really working on getting into the waistline and the hips. Super nice. And then taking a quick pause as we go back through center. Make sure that we're staying nice and lifted through our neck and shoulders. Extend your opposite leg, the other one. And we're going to twist here. So just, again, bringing in a nice inhale. And then as you twist, exhaling all the way out. Giving our body that inner cleanse. So good. Okay. And then let's go back to the hip flexors. A lot of times when we're seated a lot, which, let's face it, this is the way our world is. We're at desks a lot. We're in our car a lot. These muscles get really tight, and they actually wrap through our pelvis and connect to our low vertebrae. So we want to keep those nice and long and healthy and stretched out. So tucking your tailbone under, squeeze your glute here, and just gently shift forward. Breathing into this hip flexor. Let's back out of it, and then maybe on that same side, you can bring your arm up and slightly tilt over towards your forward leg side. So seeing how that feels. All right, and then let's do the other one. Tucking the tailbone under, gently squeezing the glute, reach up and over. Breathing in, letting it go. Awesome. And then let's go ahead, bring your knees out wide. Find a nice child's pose. Just take a little break. And that sort of concludes our mobility restorative portion of the movement practice today. So if that felt really good to you and you want to do more of that, you're welcome to rewind, repeat. But if you're ready to add a little bit of strength and stability to your day, let's continue on together. So if you caught video 1, you know we're going to do 2 sets. I welcome you to do 2 to 3 sets of your strength and stability exercises. For the purpose of the video, I'm going to show one that's kind of level 1, and we'll progress and do a slightly more advanced version of that, and then you can kind of proceed with what's appropriate for you today, knowing that you can come back to this as many times as you want to. So we are going to start on our belly. It's tricky because I know you need to see your screen, so you might need to take a look first at what we're doing, and then feel free to take your eyes off the screen while you do the exercise. So for the first one, I want you to shake out your hips. Just make sure you feel nice and even here. Keep the tops of your toes on the floor. We're not floating the legs up at all, okay? So tops of the toes down. And then we're going to just gently press into our hands. But I want you to think about using your back muscles to lift your heart off the ground, lift your chest off the ground. So I'm really lightly pressing into the floor. I'm not forcing this. There's no requirement to get any specific height off the ground. Just go to where it feels like you can feel your muscles working. So we want to use those muscles of our back and do maybe 6 to 10 of these. This could be, if you've been dealing with a bit of back pain, this could feel like pretty intense. We're not used to extending our spine this way. We're used to being a little bit more forward. So, listen to your body. 6 might be plenty for today. And if you know me at all, you know I'm terrible at counting. So bear with me. So that was probably about 8 of those. So take a peek at what I'm about to do, and then you're going to have to turn your face down towards the mat. We're going to make a little pillow for our head and just, again, reset the lower body. And now we're going to lift 1 leg at a time. I want you to do 10 lifts on 1 leg, working from your glute. So we should not feel stress in our low back here. I want you to think about your glute muscle, powering your leg to lift it off the ground. So doing about 10 leg lifts. I'm starting to feel some heat in the back of my leg for sure. And then, of course, when you finish on one side, go ahead and switch to the other side. Getting your next set of 10. And then this is a good opportunity to just check back in with your breathing. Check back in with how you're feeling in your body. Showing it lots of love and appreciation. And I think this will be my last one. Okay. So pressing into the floor, let's come into a child's pose just to kind of reset from all that. And this is where we'll begin using our mini band if you have one. So if you have a band, let's put this up around our knees. Knees or ankles. It's going to depend a little bit on your band and how tight it is. So you can experiment a little bit here, but I'm going to show this position for right now. So in our last video, we did some bird dogs, which is a very familiar exercise. And if you don't have a band, you're welcome to continue practicing your bird dogs. Even if you have the band, here we go. I'm just jumping right into it. We're going to explore doing the bird dog with a band on. So if you don't have a band, just do bird dogs without it. Think about, again, squeezing the glute and keeping your torso really stable. Last time I used that cue of imagining you've got a laser light beam coming out of your belly button, making a little dot of light on the mat, and you don't want that dot of light to move. it should be holding steady right in the center. So the band is just making it extra difficult to maintain that stability. Make sure it's not dragging your knee toward the center. You want to make sure you keep your legs like they're on railroad tracks. Oh boy, okay. I'm feeling it. Let's get onto our backs now. So keeping our band where it is. If you have a band, great. If you don't have a band, we're just going to do some bridging without the band. So this is, again, very familiar from video 1. We're just adding a new twist by having some resistance here. So make sure your knees, hips, and toes are all in line. Shoulders are relaxed. We're going to bridge up, hold, press out, and then gently come back down. So again, if you don't have a band, just do your glute bridging. Really focusing on squeezing the glutes, feeling some heat in the hamstrings. These are the areas that are going to just really help you to stay strong and stable and avoid having injury in the future. So I know these feel like this is kind of ordinary exercise. There's nothing magical about it. Well, that's true. The magic is in practicing these things consistently and doing them with good form and intention. So hopefully this movement practice allows you to do that. Okay, so 10 to 12 of those. Now, I'm going to grab the roller again. We're going to tuck it back under our tailbone. So you can do this without the roller. If you don't have a roller, no big deal. But I love having my hips up for this one. Again, this is very familiar. If you were with me for video 1, we're just sort of taking things to that next level. So keep your ribs down nice and tight. We're going to do our marching exercise, but now we've got the resistance of this band. So it's harder to maintain that stability of the non-moving leg. So that's your challenge. Keep your ribs nice and tight and keep that non-moving side really stable. And then just like with the bird dog, we want to make sure that our knees aren't like knocking in towards the center. So you want to keep those knees, hips, and toes all in line. I know, it's tough. Super tough. So simple, but really good quality, right? We're going to do simple exercises, but with a really excellent form and consistency, and you're going to get results. Okay. So 8 to 10 on each side is usually good. I can't resist the opportunity to do a little low back massage here on the roller. But then let's plant our feet. We're going to take the roller away. Let's see. We're going to take the bridge off We're going to take the band off for a second, and we're going to put our roller in between our knees. This is also for a glute bridge exercise. Again, if you don't have this, just do it without it, or you can grab like a pillow or a little ball or something like that. So plant your feet. It might be a little narrower than last time. We're going to bridge up and now squeeze towards the center and release. So you're activating all that inner thigh. Yeah. So squeeze each time. Oh yeah, these are effective at getting the burn going. And just quick reminder again, if any of this doesn't agree with your body today, just skip it. Skip it. You can go back and do a different exercise. You can pause and take a water break and catch up with me on the next exercise. No big deal. Okay, so again, 10 to 12 like that. And I'm going to set that to the side. Ooh, let's come on up. I'm just going to take a quick pause before we go to round 2. Do a nice side body stretch, whatever feels good to you if you need a sip of water. Okay, and then we're going to do a second set as promised. I'm going to show you some progressions, some things that make these exercises more challenging. You're always welcome to stick with the original exercise. 2 to 3 sets total strength is great. So together today we'll do 2 sets. Let's come back onto our belly. Remember exercise, or the round one, our exercise was just gently pressing into the floor. So our challenge, and shake out your hips for me. Shake them out to make sure we're nice and even. There's no stress and tension there. Gently squeeze your glutes. Tops of the feet stay on the floor. Your challenge is to lift your hands off. So we're only using the strength of our back to finish this exercise. It's harder. Try to keep your nose pointing down. Keep your chin sort of tucked down so that your neck is neutral. And let's go for about 8 to 10, 6 to 10. All right, I'm gonna do one more. Oh yeah. Okay, shift it back. Shake it out. Okay, round one, our next exercise was this leg lift on our belly, right? So on this round, your challenge will be to find a plank on your elbows. Okay, so finding that plank, hold it, and lift your leg in this position. So either one, choose your challenge. If you're here with me in the plank, make sure you're staying so strong through your shoulders, lifted through the crown of your head, level through your hips. Keep pulling those ribs up and away from the floor. I'm gonna watch out for the hips getting saggy towards the floor, okay? Oh, okay, I think that was about 10, hopefully. All right, other side. Yes, and it really helps to squeeze the glute on your supporting leg. Pro tip. That'll help you. Squeeze your glute, squeeze your quad. Oh, baby. Yes, I'm gonna do a couple more. Okay, knees down, shake out your shoulders because we need those shoulders to work just a little bit longer. We've got one more exercise on our hands. Last time we did our bird dog with the band on. Let's put the band on again. Although when you see the progression, you might decide band on or off. This is almost like a double progression because you're gonna see in a second. We're gonna do our bird dog again, but with our knees hovering off the ground. So this is totally fine if you wanna do it without the band and just test your stability with the knee hover. This is sort of going like, instead of going to 10, we went to 11. So adding that band plus the knee hover. And of course, you're welcome also to keep your knees on the floor and practice this one. So the beauty of these video workouts is that you can come back to them if you're like, oh, wow, that's a challenge. I'm gonna come back to that next week. You know, maybe you're not ready for it today, that's okay. Just come back to it. Oh my gosh. Is anybody else wobbling like I am? Oh my God. Okay. It's tough, and try talking through it. Okay, on our backs, our bridging exercises, pardon me while I have a sip of water, I'm actually keeping the same. I'm not offering a progression on these. If you wanted to, you are welcome to hold a weight across your hips if you really want that extra resistance. But these exercises, in my opinion, are so important and valuable as they are that I actually didn't want to change them. So press in your feet, press out, bring your knees back in line and back down. On this round, I want you to really focus on not letting that band pull your knees into the center. So you're as focused on controlling that inward movement back to your starting position as you are on the pressing out. Okay, so let's do a few more so we can keep that focus. You're doing awesome. I'm so glad you're doing this for yourself. Taking care of your body. It doesn't always look sexy and fancy, let's be real, but it's so important. Okay, let's go back to putting the roller here. We're gonna come on back, and now we've got the band on. This is a lot like week one.
Ribs down. We're going to keep this knee where it is. We're going to open up to the side and bring it back. So we've got this resistance. And that is just adding a lot of stability to our hips, to our core. So work toward that, keeping this knee right over your hip while this other leg moves away. Oh my goodness. Okay, other side. About 10 per side is usually good, 8 to 10. Oh yeah. If you feel yourself kind of rolling around on that roller, feel free to take a little pause if you need to reset it, or if you just need to kind of like stabilize your hips again, reset your core. Exhale, kind of make sure the ribs aren't popping up. Yeah, you got this. Oh, wow. Okay. Give the knees a hug. Slide the band off. Okay, here we go. Again, I told you I didn't change this one because it's really good as it is. So knees, hips, toes are all in line. We're bridging up. We're squeezing the roller and coming back down. We're in the home stretch here. Of course, if you want to do a third set, you can decide. You can rewind. You can repeat either one of these variations of our strength work. And just finish off your last 4 or 5 here. This is it for our strength circuit. Oh, so good. Okay. I welcome you to take not only just this like low back massage, but maybe even a happy baby after that inner thigh work. If you have access to this position and you want to do a little happy baby, rocking side to side. And then come onto your side. And let's do just a little bit more of a hip stretch. That was a lot of work with our glutes, doing all that bridging. So take a moment. I like this crossover stretch. Sit up nice and tall. And then let's do the other side. And again, if you're managing some pretty acute pain symptoms, some of these stretches might feel really intense. Take it where it feels good for you, whatever you can manage at any given time. Trust me, I've been there. I know it's not always possible to just sit on the floor and hug your knee in. So, maybe it's just a matter of just going a little bit lighter or sitting on a chair and doing this little crossed over stretch. And then let's reset from some of that ab work. Hey, buddy. Let's reset with just a quick cobra. We can use our hands, shake out your hips, squeeze your glutes. Let's just press the floor away, either in cobra or full upward dog, whatever serves you in this moment. Pressing up, lifting your heart, sending lots of gratitude to your body too. Take it back into a child's pose, maybe shifting side to side. I hope this movement practice brought you some relief. I hope it made you feel energized and empowered to what's possible for you and your body today. And I hope it just uplifted your day.